Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be putting all of the transformations that we've learned together in one graph. So you're going to need your notes, a pen and a pencil. You really do need all three colored pencils today, and a calculator. So when we look at these equations, these are all the 5 things that we have to know before we can graph. So our amplitude is always the absolute value of A. The period is always 2 pi divided by B. The increment is always the period divided by 4, or 1/4 times the period. Horizontal shift is our H. And our vertical shift is our K. All right, let's go on to example number 1. Here's example number 1, f of x, which is the same as y, equals negative cosine times the quantity x plus 3 pi all over 2 plus 3. So let's start here. Amplitude. Amplitude is absolute value of -1, which is just 1. Our period is going to be 2 pi divided by, now that's what's right here after cosine, since there's nothing there, it's going to be 1. So this equals 2 pi. And to find our increment, we're going to take 2 pi divided by 4, and that simplifies to pi over 2. Next one, we have our horizontal shift. That's one that makes us move left or right. That's right here. So it's plus, so we're going to go to the left 3 pi over 2. Now we're going to talk about our vertical shift. So that makes us go up and down. That's what's right here. So we're going to go up 3. Now here we can set up our graph. Now since we're going up 3, our x-axis we want to be a little bit lower so we can spread this out a bit. So here's our x-axis. So it's going to make that low. We want our y-axis, since we're going to be moving to the left, we're going to make our y-axis further over here to the right. Now we can start thinking about our increments. We have to move it left 3 pi over 2, so I'm going to start working on the left. I'm counting by pi over 2. So my first one here is pi over 2. The next one's going to be 2 pi over 2. And the next is going to be 3 pi over 2. 3 pi over 2 is the one we want. This is going to be our horizontal shift. So I'm going to draw my dotted line right here for my horizontal shift. All my horizontal shifts are going to be in green. Now I have to make sure I go 4 spots to the left and 4 to the right. So I'm already, these should all be negative, already working to the left, so I need to go 4 more spots. So I have to have 4 more spots to my left. So the next one's going to be negative 4 pi over 2, negative 5 pi over 2, negative 6 pi over 2, and negative 7 pi over 2. So my left is good. When I go to my right, I already have 3, because negative 2 pi over 2, negative 1 pi over 2, and then right here, 0, that's 1. So I only need to go 1 more to my right, so I'm going to have this be pi over 2. Once that's all in place, the next thing I need to do is do my vertical shift. So how far up or down? I need to go up 3. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Draw in my dotted line here. Make sure I label it. So this is 3. Now, after I have my vertical shift in, I start from my vertical shift, ladies and gentlemen. So now I'm working from my red line. From my red line, I have to do my amplitude. My amplitude is 1. So from my red line, I'm going to go up 1. So I'm going to be at 4. And I'm going to go down 1, so I'm going to be at 2. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am only working between my blue lines. I cannot leave 4 and 2. I have to stay within that. So when I set up my graph here, it's a negative cosine. So if it's negative cosine, I have to start low. When I say low, I have to start on my green and my red. So I'm starting on my green low. That means I'm going to be on my bottom amplitude right here. When I go to the right, I need to go to the center. So I'm going to go to my midline at the red one. Then I'm going to go all the way to the top of my amplitude. Then I'm going to go back to the middle. Now when I say this, we have to hit that x-axis. So it's going to go right there. And then I'm going to end where I started on the bottom of my amplitude. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points, including my starting point. I can connect. Make sure you're doing a curve. When you get to this last one, you have to curve up, put an arrow. Now when I go to the left, the only place I can go is up because I'm already at my bottom amplitude. So I go up to the center line, my midline, the red one, all the way up to my highest blue line, back down to my midline, and then back down to my bottom of my amplitude. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. I started and stopped in the same spot. Make sure your lines are curved when you're putting in these. When we get to that last one, you have to curve up, add that arrow. Now the only thing left for us to do is determine our domain and range. Well, our domain is going to be always all real numbers. Our range is determined by our amplitude, so 4 and 2. So y has to be greater than equal to 2, and y has to be less than or equal to 4. If you want to write it like that, or if you prefer to write it like this, you may. 2, 4. All right, moving on to our last example, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. When we look at this one, y equals 3 sine pi over 2 times the quantity x minus 2 plus 1. First things first, amplitude. Absolute value of whatever number is in front of sine, so the absolute value of 3 is 3. To find our period for this one, ladies and gentlemen, we have to take 2 pi divided by pi over 2. So this is where we're getting our period from right there. When I solve this, it would be this, like saying 2 pi over 1 divided by pi over 2, which we can rewrite because we keep flip switch to 2 pi over 1 times 2 over pi, multiply straight across, and we would get 4 pi over pi. Simplify that, and we get 4 for the period. So if our period is 4, you're more than welcome to type that in your calculator too. I just want to make sure you know how to do it in case you want to. When we want to find our increment now, we take whatever we got for our period and we divide by 4. So 4 divided by 4 is just 1. So we're going to be counting by ones. Now when we do our horizontal shift, that's what's inside the parentheses. So I have a negative 2. So that means I'm going to go right 2. And then I have a vertical shift. That's what this is right here. So that's a plus 1. So I'm going to go up 1. Now I can draw this out. I am going to be going up 1. So make my x-axis a little bit lower. I'm going to be moving to the right, so I want my y-axis to be to the left. Now I can start counting. I'm going right 2, so first one's going to be 1, then 2. 2 is, there it is. That's my horizontal shift, so I'll put in my dotted line right away. There it is. We're doing with 2 there. I need to go 2 to the right of this. Or excuse me, 4 more to the right. So I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we'll have 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now I have to make sure I go 4 to the left. So I have 1, 0, negative 1, negative 2. So we're good there. Our next step, we have to do our vertical shift. So I'm going up 1. If I go up 1, I'm going to be right here. Draw my dotted line, label it. Once I have this in, I'm working from this. I'm working from my red vertical shift. So from here, I need to do my amplitude. My amplitude is 3, so I have to go up 3. So 1, 2, 3. If I go up, it's 1, 2, 3. I'm at 4. So right here, I'm going to label this 4. Now when I go back to my line, I need to go down 3. So I'm at 0, -1, -2. -2 here. Once I have everything in place, now I can graph. So I'm going to be working with sine. It's a positive sign. So I start in the center. Now when I say I start in the center, I need to go to my horizontal shift, which is my green line, and my red line. So I'm going to start right here in my center. When I go to the right, I need to go up because it's a positive sign. So I go all the way up to my highest amplitude. Then I go back down to my center, which is my midline. Then all the way to the bottom to my lowest amplitude. Then back up to the center. I stopped and started in the same spot. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. I'm going to connect them. Make sure it's a curved line. And put my arrow at the end. Remember, you never leave your amplitude. Now when I go to the left, I have to go down to the bottom. So my blue line, back up to the middle, and I'm on my x-axis, 0 counts as a spot. All the way up to the top at -1, back down to -2. I stopped and started in the same spot. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. Put in my line, nice and curved, make sure I'm touching my amplitudes. Put in my arrow, and now it's time for domain and range. Domain, always all real numbers. Range, y is greater than or equal to -2. Y is less than or equal to 4. Or if you prefer to write it like this, -2 to 4. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I have for you today. I hope you go out and have the best day ever, and I will be seeing you later. Bye.